CenturyNext Bank is proud to sponsor Digital Weather Desk with local meteorologist Jared Floyd.
The Digital Weather Desk is your local source for the latest weather information to help keep you and your family safe and to plan your week. You can follow us on our social media platforms, download our app, and you can also find us at digitalweatherdesk.com. The Digital Weather Desk,
Powered by CenturyNext Bank.
Hey folks, good morning. Welcome to the Digital Weather Desk powered by CenturyNext Bank. As you see the lightning on the traffic cam at Texas Avenue and some very slow-moving traffic along Interstate 20. I haven't seen lightning in a winter storm on camera in several years, and so there it is. And again, for those that are joining us, our next live stream, it doesn't have a set schedule, but I'm aiming for about 6 a.m. as we go through the rest of the morning hours. And, of course, along with that, like I said, I know that there's a lot of folks that are without power, so I'm going to try to get through the main meat of this as quickly as possible. A check of the radar made possible by Brown's Roofing. Again, if you were to look at this radar on a normal daily basis when we're 50, 60, 70 degrees outside, you'd be expecting thunderstorms, and that's what we are running into. The occasional, I say occasional, we've had some fairly frequent rumbles of thunder here in the last 5 to 10 minutes in Midtown Monroe and across much of the area. You have a lot of folks out there going, what in the world is going on? It's thundering outside. You're right. These are the frozen thunderstorms we were talking about, the possibility of sleet and freezing rain along with rumbles of thunder because of the elevated instability in the atmosphere. So again, there's a lot of folks that are not only hearing thunder, but then they're hearing the trees and the transformers. There's a lot going on, and a reminder that it is extremely unnerving for a lot of folks. There will be some occasional snow that mixes in at times. This is, again, a lot of folks are hopping in and saying this is just absolutely wild. What the heck's going on? Blah, blah. Again, I said this at 2 a.m., and now as we set in at 4, I don't know if I've ever seen anything like this. Again, not necessarily in terms of ice accumulations, because I've seen that. I saw that as a kid, and I've seen thunderstorms before. But to see freezing rain and thunderstorms, it's just a completely different level. As you take a look at the radar with the precipitation mask over it, we got a lot headed our way, folks. And this is that final wave of precipitation, which will probably carry us from now 4 a.m. until about 8 a.m. Maybe closer till 10 a.m. for a lot of spots. So again, expect the ice accumulations, the sleet accumulations to start picking back up across the area through the rest of the morning and continuing perhaps into early afternoon. Again, Futurecast shows 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. We're still dealing with stuff, but by 9, 10 o'clock, hopefully, most of this activity starts to shift off to the east. It's still going to be very cold. Whatever's on the ground is going to freeze. If you've stepped outside here lately, you've probably noticed that everything's just essentially frozen into one big sheet. That's not going anywhere. We're going to add some ice onto it in the next couple of hours, and then we're going to freeze it all again. So conditions will get worse before they get better for a good chunk of the region. Check of temperatures across the area. They are in the 20s for the most part. The entire ArkLaMiss region now under freezing. So if it starts to fall, it's going to be frozen of some sort. Whether it's rain, whether it's freezing rain, whether it's sleet, whether it's snow, it will not just be liquid rainfall. Again, for those that are saying that it's snowing outside, yes, this is very much a possibility. It will occasionally, we're going to see a lot of different precip types. The dominant types will be freezing rain and sleet, but the occasional snow will mix in. Wind speeds, generally out of the north, 5 to 10 to occasionally 15 miles an hour. With the occasional, convective nature, God, my hair's a mess. When we look at the convective nature of a lot of these thunderstorms, or a lot of this activity, they will perhaps bring some gusty winds, 20. Again, when I say gusty winds, I'm not talking thunderstorm wind gusts. I'm not talking 50-mile-an-hour wind gusts. I'm saying I wouldn't be surprised for some of these heavier bursts of precip to maybe bring 20-mile-an-hour wind gusts or 25-mile-an-hour wind gusts. And that in itself is going to be enough to bring some trees down. Quick check of the power outages. Don't have a lot of good news. Lake Providence now East Carroll Parish. Again, as you look at these numbers represent counties and parishes, not cities. 61% of East Carroll Parish right now is without power. The hardest hit currently is Issaquah County in Mississippi. They're maybe 80% plus without service. Nearly half of Ouachita Parish, our most populated parish, without power. Bienville and Jackson parishes also have seen quite a bit. Even as far south as Winfield, we're starting to see quite a number of power outages. The road conditions are not ideal either. Again, if you can avoid travel, please stay at home. The road temperature is obviously extremely nasty, well below freezing. So whatever's on the ground is frozen. A reminder of the ice storm warning that's in place through this evening. Again, accumulating ice and sleet is our biggest concern as we continue over the next couple of hours. That is how it sits right now at 4 a.m. So again, if you're trying to conserve battery power but still trying to get the latest information, that's what we've got. You can go ahead and hop off now and go back to sleep or just sit without power, whatever. Again, there's not a lot of right or wrong ways to get through this, folks. We're just going to kind of get through it all together. As you take a look at the radar and we zoom out, and I'll just kind of leave it here as I go through a lot of our observations and everything. A lot of folks just saying the same thing. What on God's green earth is going on? And that's a really good question for a lot of folks. Again, for those that are wondering about the next, I'm planning a next live stream at 6 a.m. I don't have a little fancy graphic out there saying anything, but that's the general plan as we now prepare for the heaviest rounds of precipitation to settle in across the region. These will probably be heavier than yesterday. They'll be heavier than what we saw yesterday afternoon. They'll be heavier than what we saw this morning. We're going to see some pretty extreme precipitation rates in the next 2 to 3 hours across the region, and we're going to add a lot of totals onto what we've already seen. Again, at the risk of sounding dramatic, there are a lot of folks that are going through a lot of struggles right now. Folks without power, folks that have leaking roofs or have caved-in porches and carports and greenhouses and structural damage. There's trees down on houses. There's limbs down on houses, poking holes through roofs. And guess what? There's really not a whole lot anybody can do about anything right now. Energy crews, until it's safe to get out and assess the situation, they're pretty much stuck in a holding pattern. I talked to, again, our friends at Surf Pro and at Brown's Roofing. They are receiving tons of phone calls for water damage and roof problems respectively, and they have crews ready to go, but until it's safe to dispatch, everybody's stuck in a holding pattern. So that's the other problem, and I know there is another level of anxiety that comes to, what if X, Y, and Z happens at my house? I have nowhere else to go. Again, everybody is in the same boat right now, that if something unfortunate happens or something very unlucky happens in terms of a leaking roof or something, we're all kind of just stuck in a holding pattern until this precipitation moves out. I acknowledge that. I know there's a lot of folks, again, that are very, very anxiety-ridden and are very stressed out. There's not a lot of sleep happening across the ArkLaMiss because you hear the pops in the trees and you're waiting to lose power, or you've lost power and it's really quiet, it's really eerie. I understand all of those things, and I want to stress, I feel that all of those right along with you. We all do. And this, for a winter storm system, there is no fun in this. It's not a winter wonderland with snow and let's build snowmen. This is a very unnerving, anxiety-ridden situation. So be a good neighbor. Check on those around you. Check frequently on the elderly. Check frequently on those that have small children. Check frequently on those that live alone, those that are energy dependent, that need dialysis and oxygen and refrigerated medications. Check and make sure that they have power. If they don't and you do and they need your help, do it. If you have power and your neighbors and stuff don't, maybe offer them a chance to come over and charge their cell phone devices and sit in the warmth and have a meal or something like that. Just be a good neighbor. That's my best suggestion. Terry asks, how long will this take to move through? Again, several hours. We're probably running into, this will at least be through 8 or 9 a.m. Maybe close to noon in some spots, depending on how long. I think it should move faster than that. I really think by a little after sunrise, we'll be pretty much done with this stuff, but the next 2 or 3 or 4 hours is not going to be a festival for the ArkLaMiss. Brittany asks, when do you think it'll be safe enough for energy to start working? That's a very good question, and I don't want to go too detailed. I don't work for energy. I do, to answer the question, as soon as it's safe for their workers, they'll send them back out. But they had to pull the crews out of the field last night simply because, yesterday afternoon, simply because of the tree limbs coming down, and it wasn't safe. Yeah, and like I said, there's a lot of folks that are, as I can hear the precip starting to pick up out here, and it sounds like rain. But there, like I said, there's a lot of folks that are anxiety ridden, and sadly there's a lot of folks that are starting to kind of panic a little bit, because this is, again, a very unnerving situation. Be a good neighbor, help where you can. Next update's at 6 a.m. I'll join you then, and I'll provide some more updates between now and then. I'm kind of up for the morning, and we'll kind of see where the next couple of hours takes us, and I'll provide some more updates as we go along the way as well. Forecast is always available at digitalweatherdesk.com and on the app. Thanks so much for taking time out of your day. Hang in there, folks. Stay warm, and just hang in there, and we'll keep you updated with the latest as we go through the rest of the morning. Again, next update's at 6 a.m. I'll see you then.